Good morning, dear children. Today, I'd like to ask you a question.
Sanibonani bantwana ekseni nje. Namhlanje ngithanda ukunibuza umbuzo.
Before you got up this morning, did you spend time talking to Lord Jesus?
Ngesikhathi uvuka namhlanje ekseni, uke wasichitha yini isikhathi ukhuluma noJesu?
I wonder what you said to him.
Ngiyanombuzo ukuthi kaze utheni kuye.
Lord Jesus, help me to have a nice day, maybe?
Mhlawumbe omunye uthandaze wathi, Nkosi, cela uthi ungisize ukuthi ngibe nosuku oluhle.
Or maybe, Lord Jesus, please give me a new bicycle. My other one's so old.
Omunye mhlawumbe uthe, Jesu, ngicela ukuthi ungiphe ibhayisekile elisha ngoba elami elidala selilidala kakhulu.
Or maybe if you were at school yesterday, you said, Lord Jesus, please, can the sun shine today? We've got a soccer match.
Mhlawumbe omunye ubese esikoleni izolo ethi, Nkosi, ngiyacela ukuthi usize ukuthi ilanga libalele khona sizokwazi ukudlala ibhola.
Or maybe, Lord Jesus, next week it's my birthday. Please, will you give me a nice fluffy puppy for my birthday?
Omunye mhlawumbe uthandaze wathi, next week ibirthday yami. Ngiyacela Nkosi ukuthi ungiphe inja njengesipho.
Yes, children, it's not wrong to ask the Lord Jesus for things that you need.
Yebo bantwana, akukubi ukuthi umcele uJesu ngelezinto ozidingayo.
But think a little bit about your prayers. Do they often start with, Lord Jesus, I need. Lord Jesus, I want. Lord Jesus, please can I?
Kodwa ake sicabangisise ngemkhuleko yethu ukuthi masiqala imkhuleko yethu sithi Nkosi ngiyadinga, Nkosi ngiyathanda, Nkosi cela ungiphe.
Don't you think that sometimes our prayers are a little bit selfish and we only think about what I'd like, what I want, what I need?
Awucabanga ukuthi eminye emkhuleko yethu ingumkhuleko eyifunelo kwayo uyicabange wena sonke isikhathi.
Tell me, how often do you pray for others?
Akungitshela ukuthi kungangaki ukhulekela abanye.
Have you ever prayed and said, Lord Jesus, please will you give my friend a bicycle?
Wake wathandaza yini umkhuleko othi Nkosi ngicela ukuthi uphe umngani wami ibhayisekile?
Or perhaps you have an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a grandparent who doesn't know the Lord.
Noma mhlambe unomalume noma uanti noma umkhulu noma ugogo ongamazi uNkulunkulu.
Have you ever prayed for them, prayed that they would get to meet the Lord Jesus?
Wake wabathandazela yini ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi bahlangane neNkosi uJesu?
That they would give their hearts and their souls to the Lord Jesus.
Bekwazi ukunikela impilo zabo kuJesu.
Today I want to tell you some true stories which show that God does answer prayers for others.
Namhlanje ngithanda ukunixoxela indaba ezenzeka ngempela ezikhombisa ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyayizwa imithandazo yethu.
The first story happened quite a long time ago, in the 1800s.
Indaba yokuqala yenzeka esikhathini eside esidlule kuma-1800s.
A preacher had been preaching one night and he got back to the person where he was sleeping and he soon fell asleep.
Umfundisi othile ubeshumayela endaweni thizeni, mayeqeda ukushumayela wahamba waya egumbini lakhe lokulala.
Not long after he had fallen asleep, the man at whose house he stayed came and woke him up.
Kodwa engakalali isikhathi eside, lo owayumninimuzi wafika kuye wamvusa.
And he said to him, there's a little girl outside at the door. She wants to speak to you.
Mayemvusa wathi kuye, kukhona intombazanyana esemnyango ecela ukukhuluma nawe.
Well, he said, I really am tired. I've had a busy day. tell her I'll come tomorrow.
Bese umfundisi wathi ngicela ukuthi umtshele ukuthi ngikhathele ngibe nosuku olude namhlanje akumtshela ukuthi ngizombona kusasa.
But soon the man was back, and he said to her, you know what? She is poor, ragged, thin, and she says she'll wait here until you come.
Bese waphinde wabuya umninimuzi wathi kulo mfundisi, ithi intombazanyane izoma ikulinde uzufike ngoba yona intombazanyane ibimpofu inempahla edabukile ubona ukuthi iyahlupheka.
And so the preacher got up and he went to the door, and he says he had never seen such a pitiful child. She had no hat on, she had no shoes on. She looked in a sad state.
Bese umfundisi wavuka waya kwintombazanyana. Mayifika kuye embona wabona ukuthi akanasigqoko ekhanda, akanayicathulo, ubona ukuthi umpofu kakhulu.
So she asked the preacher, "Sir, are you the man who preached last night?"
Intombazanyana yaseyibuza umfundisi ukuthi, "Baba, uwe lo kade ushumayela izolo ebusuku?"
"Yes, it was me," he said.
Wathi, "Yebo, bekuyimi."
"Did you really say that the Lord Jesus can save a person to the uttermost?"
Wayesembuza wathi, "Ngempela uwe kade usho ukuthi uJesu uyakwazi ukuthi emsindise umuntu ngokupheleleyo?"
That the Lord Jesus can save a person completely, no matter how wicked he is.
Ukuthi uJesu uyakwazi ukuthi emsindise umuntu ngokupheleleyo yize umuntu one kangakanani.
Yes, I did say that.
Yebo, ngisho njalo impela.
Well, sir, please won't you come to my father?
Baba, ngicela ukuthi ufike kubaba wami.
Well, what's wrong with your father? He asked.
Umfundisi wasebuza ukuthi ubaba wakho ubhekene neyiphi inkinga?
Sir, he drinks awfully, and when he's drunk, he does terrible things and he hits my mother.
Ubaba uphuza kakhulu bese masephuzile esedakiwe ufike ekhaya eshaya umama wami.
Sir, please won't you come with me? Won't you go to him? Won't you tell him that Jesus can save to the uttermost?
Mfundisi, ngicela ukuthi uze nami ukwazi ukuthi umxoxele ukuthi uJesu uyakwazi ukuthi emsindise ngokupheleleyo.
Now remember, this really happened. So the man took his hat and off he followed the little girl to her house.
Ukhumbule ukuthi le ndaba yenzeka ngempela bangani. Manje umfundisi nakho esethatha isigqoko sakhe eselandela intombazanyane bebhekise ekhaya lentombazane.
When he got into the house, what a miserable place it was.
Masefika ekhaya lentombazane kuyindawo edabukisayo mawuyibuka.
It was cold, it was dark, there was mud on the floor, there was not a chair, not a table, not a bed.
Bekubanda kungenakhanya kunodaka phansi akho umbheda wukho kungekho lutho bangani.
And in the corner he managed to see on a pile of straw a woman was lying there.
Bese esebheka umfundisi esebhekisisa wabona ukuthi ekhoneni nangu umuntu wesifazane elele laphaya.
And soon down the steps came an angry looking man.
Bese esanda kufika nje nangu umuntu oseza ehle stairs.
And the little girl said to the preacher, "Now, sir, you must pray. You must pray. Don't even talk to him. He won't listen. Preacher, you must pray now."
Bese intombazanyane yavele yasho ukuthi mfundisi sekufanele uthi uthandaze manje. sekufanele uthandaze ngoba angeke kusize ukuthi uzame ukukhuluma naye ngoba angeke ezekulalele, fanele uthandaze manje.
Well, she and the preacher fell on their knees and they cried out to the Lord Jesus.
Bese-ke umfundisi nentombazanyane bagoqa phansi ngamadolo, bakhala kuJesu.
And children, God heard their prayers.
Bangani, uNkulunkulu wawuzwa umthandazo wabo.
In a moment, this hard, nasty man had softened.
Ngesikhashana nje, lo baba lona obeqinile washintsha enhlizweni.
He knelt on the floor as well, and he began crying out to the Lord Jesus for mercy.
Naye wayethola eseguqe phansi, esekhala kuJesu ukuthi abe nomusa kuye.
And the man changed just like that.
Bese lo baba washintsha nje kanjalo nje.
The next Sunday, he took his daughter with him to church.
Ngesonto elilandelayo kwaba huye ubaba othatha indodakazi yakhe eyanayo enkonzweni.
He got a job, he was an excellent workman, and soon there was food on the table.
Wathola umsebenzi, wasebenza kanzima, kungekudala kwaba huye osebeka ukudla etafuleni.
Do you see, children? God answers prayer.
Niyabona bangaki ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyawuphendula umthandazo.
Now for the next story. That happened in America. The next one is here in Africa.
Manje ke leyo ndaba yenzeka ezweni laseMelika. Kodwa leli enye indaba engizonixoxela yona yenzeka kwelethu izwe la eAfrika.
Now there was a doctor, her name was Helen Roosevelt, and she worked in Central Africa.
Kwakukhona udokotela igama lakhe uHelen Roosevelt owayesebenza khona la eCentral Africa.
And one day she was trying to save the life of a young mother.
Ngolunye usuku wayezama ukuphephisa impilo yomama obesemncane.
But the mother died and she left behind a little newborn baby and a 2-year-old little girl.
Kodwa ngeshwa umama akazange ekwazi ukuthi esinde, washona eshiya emhlabeni ingane ezimbili, ingane encane yentombazane kanye nengane esanda kuzalwa.
It was a cold night, and of course there was no electricity, there were no heaters, there were no special places for babies.
Kwawubusuku obanda kakhulu, lapho kungekho gesi, kungekho into ekhona ezobafudumeza, kungekho ngisho nendawo yokuthi ingane encane ilale khona.
So they found a box and they filled it with cotton wool, and she sent one helper to look for a hot water bottle and the other helper to make a fire.
Bese ke bathola nje ibhokisi elincane, bagcwalisa ngecotton wool, bafaka phakathi ingane, bathumela omunye ukuthi ehambe eyobheka ibhodlela lokufudumeza umzimba, bese omunye ukuthi eyobheka ukuthi enze umlilo.
Now, as the helper filled the hot water bottle, the bottle burst.
Ngesikhathi lo obasizayo egcwalisa ibhodlela leli lokubafudumeza, lavele nje laqhuma.
Now, remember, this was a long time ago. There were no shops around. There were no pharmacies where you just pop in and get a replacement.
Ukhumbula ukuthi lokhu kwenzeka esikhathini eside esadlula. Manje bengekho nezitolo eziseduzane lapho bebengagijimela khona beyothenga elisha.
The next day, the doctor told a group of orphans that she was also looking after, and they prayed together for these 2 little children.
Bese ke ngosuku olulandelayo kwatshelwa abanye abebegada intandane ukuthi bathandazele labantwana ababili.
And one of the children, a little girl called Ruth, when it was her turn to pray, she said, Lord Jesus, please send us a hot water bottle.
Bese omunye wabantwana laba igama lakhe uBeruth wathi Nkosi ngiyacela ukuthi usisize usithumelele ibhodlela lokufudumeza elisha.
And Lord Jesus, it's no use that the hot water bottle comes tomorrow. We need it today.
Nkosi ngeke kusisize ukuthi lifike kusasa ngoba silidinga namhlanje.
Otherwise, the baby will die. Send it this afternoon, please.
Ngoba masingalitholanga namhlanje ingane izoshona. Siyacela Nkosi ukuthi usithumelele lona namhlanje.
And then she also prayed and she said, Lord Jesus, while you're about that, won't you also send a little doll for her 2-year-old sister so that she will know that you really love her?
Bese waqhubeka nokuthandaza wathi Nkosi usenza nalokho siyacela ukuthi uphinde usithumelele nodoli khona udadewabo lona ona2 ekwazi ukuthi ethole ithoyisi lokudlala.
Well, the doctor listened to her prayer and she wasn't quite sure what to say about it.
Udokotela walalela lo mthandazo wangazi ukuthi uzothini ngawo.
Because humanly speaking, there was no way that that prayer could be answered.
Ngoba ngokobuntu bengeke kwazi ukuthi lo mthandazo uphenduleke.
This is what she writes. She says, I had been in Africa almost 4 years now, and I had never received a parcel from my home in England. And in any case, if someone sent a parcel, they wouldn't put in a hot water bottle. This was Central Africa after all.
Ubhala kanjena udokotela ukuthi ngase Africa iminyaka emine bengakaze ngithole iphasela noma isipho esivele ekhaya. Kodwa noma kukhona umuntu obengangithumelela okuthile ubengeke ezefake ibhodlela lokufudumeza ngoba bayazi ukuthi la eAfrica la ngikhona kufudumele kakhulu.
But God had heard the child's prayer.
Kodwa uNkulunkulu wayizwile umthandazo wengane.
Halfway through the afternoon, a car climbed up the road to where the hospital was.
Ntambama kwabonakala imoto efikayo lapho esibhedlela.
And the car delivered a big parcel, bigger even than this one, all tied up and wrapped in string and brown paper.
Le moto yafika izodeliver ibhokisi elikhulu futhi kunalele nilibona lana. Leli bhokisi lalikhavwe kahle.
Well, the doctor said, I can't open this parcel alone. I must call all these children, these orphans, to help me.
Bese udokotela wathi angikwazi ukuthi ngivule leli bhokisi ngedwa, angibize bonke abantwana, zonke lezi intandane engihlala nazo ukuthi zifike zibone ukuthi yini lena esiphiwe.
And so all of them helped, undoing the knots, pulling off the paper very carefully, and each one was excited.
Base basiza bonke ke, omunye evula ngapha, omunye bevule ngapha lokhu kade kukhave lesi sipho.
On the top of the parcel were a number of brightly colored jerseys.
Phezulu kwalesi sipho bekukhona amajezi ayimbalabala.
So the doctor took them out and she handed them out.
Udokotela wayesewakhipha ke lamajezi esebapha abantwana.
Their eyes were sparkling, but there was more.
Abantwana bebenokulangazelela ukubona ukuthi yini ephakathi, ubona nje nasemehlweni ukuthi bajabula impela.
Then she took out lots of bandages that they used for the leprosy patients, and she took out a big block of soap.
Wayesekhipha namabhandage kade bewasebenzisela abantu abaneleprosi abanochoko. Manje waphinda wakhipha nensipho enkulu.
And then she put her hand right deep down into the bottom, and she felt something. Could it be? She lifted it out and there was a hot water bottle.
Kodwa akuphelanga lapho isipho besaqhubeka. Mayethi ufaka isandla ezwa kahle, wezwa hawu yini lena, mayethi uyayikhipha yili ibhodlela lokufudumeza.
The doctor said she just cried. She couldn't believe it.
Udokotela wathi wavele nje wakhala engakwazi ukukholwa lokho.
Now Ruth, the little girl, was sitting close by and she ran forward.
Kodwa uRuth lo kade ethandazile ubehleli khona phambili, washesha wasukuma wagijima phambili.
And she said, if God has sent a hot water bottle, surely he's also sent the doll.
Wathi uNkulunkulu elithumelile leli bhodlela lokushiyisisa, shuthi ulithumelile nodoli.
So she rummaged around inside the box till she felt something and pulled it out, and there was the doll, a beautifully dressed doll.
Bese wathatha ngezandla zakhe wafaka phakathi eboxini, ezwa nje ukuthi ngabe kusekhona yini okusele. Mayethi uthi wezwa ukuthili, mayikhipha hawu nangu udoli ogqokiswe kahle.
Her eyes shone. She had never doubted that God would answer her prayer.
Amehlo akhe avele nje akhazimula ngoba yena akazange angabazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu uzokwazi ukuthi awulalele futhi awufeze umthandazo wakhe.
And so she took the doll and she ran to this little 2-year-old good girl to tell her, look, God shows you that he loves you.
Wasethatha udoli wagijima kuleya ntombazane na2 wamnika wathi, uyabona uNkulunkulu uyakhombisa ukuthi uyakuthanda.
Isn't this amazing, children? This parcel had been packaged back in England 5 months before.
Akumangalisi yini lokhu bantwana ngoba masucabangisisa ukuthi lesi sipho sayenziwa kahle endaweni yaseNgilande phesheya kwezilwandle ama months ayi5 edlule.
And it had travelled by ship and by lorry and by car, and it reached there on this day.
Yahamba ngomkhumbi nangeyimoto ukuthi izifike khona ngalolu suku.
Now, children, I could tell you story after story where God answers prayers and answers children's prayers.
Bantwana ngingatshela izitori eziningi lapho uNkulunkulu ephendula imthandazo weingane.
When Jesus was on earth, one day the mothers came and they were carrying their children, bringing their children, and they wanted to go to Jesus.
Lapho Jesu esesemhlabeni, omama bafika kuJesu neingane zabo, befuna ukuthi ingane zabo ziye kuJesu.
But the disciples were rather nasty, and they didn't want these children to get to Jesus nor their mothers, and they said, send them away.
Kodwa abafundi abazange babaphathe kahle labo mama, bathi ay ingane fanele zingafiki lana zizophazamisa la khona uJesu, zithumeleni ayibuyele emuva.
And Lord Jesus said to the disciples, don't do that. Let them come to me.
Kodwa uJesu wabakhuza abafundi wathi, ningenzi njalo, dedelana abantwana beze kimi.
And then Jesus took the children, he put his hands on them, and he blessed them.
uJesu wabathatha abantwana, wabeka izandla zakhe phezu kwabo, wababusisa.
I wish I could have been one of those children.
Nami ngiyafisa ukuthi ngaba abanye balabo bantwana.
I would have loved also to take my own children, that the Lord Jesus could put his hands on them.
Nami bengathanda njengomama ngithatha ingane zami ngiyise kuJesu khona uJesu ezoyibusisa.
But I know that if I ask him to put his blessing on my children, he hears me.
Kodwa ngiyazi namanje ukuthi lapho ngithandaza ngicela uJesu ukuthi ebeke isandla sakhe phezu kweingane zami, uyangizwa.
Maybe you will never be able to, like those children then, come to Jesus where he is, like he was in Israel.
Mhlambe wena njengoba uphila manje ngeke uthole ithuba njengalabo bantwana ukuthi umbone ngamehlo akho uJesu, uJesu ekwazi ukuthi ekubusise ngezandla zakhe.
But we have an even greater privilege. He is with us wherever we are.
Kodwa thina sinenhlanhla enkulu kakhulu kunaleyo ngoba uJesu unathi noma kuphi la esikhona.
He knows us, he knows your name, he knows your family, he knows what size shoe you wear, he knows the names of your brothers and sisters.
Ngoba uJesu uyasazi, uyakwazi igama lakho, wazi ukuthi ugqoka usize enjani esicathulweni, wazi amagama alabo abakulamayo.
Children, he says, let the children come to me.
uJesu uthi, dedelana abantwana beze kimi.
Children, go to the Lord Jesus in prayer.
Manje bantwana, hambani kuJesu ngomthandazo.
But how sad if our prayers are all only give me, I want, I'd like, I need.
Kodwa kungaba into ebuhlungu kakhulu bangani ukuthi yonke imithandazo yethu ithi Nkosi mina ngidinga lokhu, mina ngifuna lokhu, mina ngicela lokhu.
The children we spoke about today, they saw the needs of others and they prayed for others.
Abantwana esikhulume ngabo namhlanje babona izidingo zabanye bathandazela abanye.
Bring the needs of others to the Lord Jesus. He hears you and he answers.
Lethani izidingo zabanye kuJesu ngoba uJesu uzokuzwa ephendula umthandazo wakho.
Thank you. And now I'm going to ask my dear translator, Nozuku, to close for us in prayer.
Siyabonga bangani, sesizovala ngomthandazo. Asithandaze. Nkosi siyabonga kakhulu ngakho konke osenzele khona.
Lord Jesus, thank you for everything that you have done for us.
Sibonga Nkosi ngisho nokuthi usifundise ukuthi sibheke izidingo zabanye.
And you've taught us, Lord Jesus, that we should look out for the needs of others.
Kanjalo Nkosi ngithanda ukuthandazela yonke ingane ezobibuka le KidsLive.
And I would like to today, Lord Jesus, pray for all the children who will be watching the KidsLive.
Ukuthi Nkosi ubasize kuzo zonke izidingo abanazo.
That you would help them with all that they need.
Kakhulukazi Nkosi ukuthi bazi wena.
But especially, Lord, that they would know you.
Siyabonga Nkosi ngakho konke osenzela khona, sesiyacela Nkosi ukuthi nangosuku lanamhlanje usisize ukuthi sikuphilele.
Thank you for all you've done, Lord Jesus, and even in this day, may you help us to live for you.
Sicela konke lokhu egameni kaJesu Kristu.
We ask this all for your name's sake.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, Halleluja, vergeben ist die Sünd. Oh, Halleluja, ich bin ein Gotteskind, frei von aller Schuld, wie Gottes Kinder sind. Oh, Halleluja, Amen. Mutig nun voran, der Kampf ist bald ja aus. Sieh, es winkt die Kron, wir sind gar bald zu Haus. Seiner unverzagt, der Herr spricht Mut dir zu. Hoch von seinem Thron. Amen.